What's up? Welcome to the Inner City Innovators Podcast, where we will discuss marginalized communities and what it will take to bring true, lasting hope and transformation to the disadvantaged. Now, here are your hosts and hope dealers, Bashan Montal and Ricky Aiken.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very, very honored guest with us today, someone that I met in the community doing the work long before he joined us, but now he's with us, making our team even stronger and more powerful, and that's my boy, David Rae. Welcome.
Appreciate y'all, man. Welcome to the How to Be a Hope Dealer podcast, baby. Hey.
Yeah, man. It's an honor to have you on, bro. When I met you, I saw your passion for the community, and to see your passion over the years just continue to grow and get stronger, and you get wiser about how you use your power has been amazing. So I'm happy to know you. And for those who don't know, he's on staff with us at Inner City Innovators, helping us mentor our young men and improve our outreach in the community. So I want to know, man, like what started you on this journey of service to the people?
I think I've always had service in my heart, you know. So I think it's just been ingrained in me. So first, you know, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate y'all bringing me on.
For sure.
I think this is an amazing space and amazing experience. But yeah, growing up, there was always a sense of community, right? You have pride in your community, you have pride in your neighborhood, you have pride in the people you grew up with. But it just translated as I started thinking more locally than globally, communally. Yeah. And then through service, my careers have been, most of my adult life has been in health and wellness and in security, side by side. And the energies of those is healing and protecting. Right. So COVID hit. Nightclubs shut down, couldn't be bouncing.
Right.
Spas and doing that work shut down, couldn't be making any money, which was fine for me, and I know I'm privileged to be able to say so, but I was like, all right, nothing to do but dive in because we can't evict us all. Yeah. And nobody's really making money in the beginning, right? So the restaurant group that I work for that has the nightclubs, they had to fire 650 people overnight. Mm-hmm. They went into mobilization to start serving people food, and I was like, that's a little much to be in people's faces. But when we started doing groceries, I just tapped into that, and you know, naturally I got a strong personality and I have opinions and stuff. So I was like, we need to do this, that, the third. We tried some stuff out, worked my way into leadership, turned it into work, and saw that, you know, there's ways you can make a difference, make a living, and actually feel good about what you're doing and steer the conversation and steer the ship. So I have been doing that, started getting the political organizing communally, so community organizing. But then finally, you know, when I got some stability, because that was my biggest thing before hopping into the Hope Dealers, it was like, I don't have stability to offer these young men, right? You know, I really resonated with LaShawn yesterday. He said balance. We talked about balance yesterday. And I resonate with that because we're always seeking it. And so I have a semblance of that I can offer these young men. So I'm like, it's time to step in. So when there was an opportunity to, I hopped on board. But just moving through the motions. If I look back on my life, when I decided to stop, even when I was destroying things, there was still a sense of like ownership and protection, right?
For sure.
But when I finally realized like there's a better way to serve the community, there's a better way to hold things down. There was always a sense of like service, like what is the value of your life if you can't look back and see that you made something better than when you found it?
Impact, bro.
Right.
That's interesting. So let me ask you, where did you grow up? You know, where you from? Where did you grow up? And what was that like? What was it like growing up in your community as a child? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because to piggyback on that, I believe everything we are today is kind of based on like the oven we were baked in.
Right.
You know, what was that oven for you?
I grew up in Carroll City, Miami, Florida. Proud Carroll City. Born and raised, and my family came to the country by way of Jamaica. But where they moved when it was just like open cow pastures.
Yeah.
They lived, my brothers were raised through the crack epidemic. I grew up in a community post all of that, right?
Yeah.
So Man, I don't know. I'm proud to be from Miami, but I left Miami, my like right as I hit 20, and tried to get in a better situation because, you know, what was going on in my life.
Yeah.
My face card is clean, but I knew I needed something different.
Right.
The grass is not greener on the other side; it's greener where you water it. But I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
So I was seeking greener pastures.
Right.
Hopped around a little bit and came back to the state of Florida, and I was going to move back to Carroll City because at least in my neighborhood, in my hood where I grew up in, I knew at least I was safe.
Right.
Or some semblance of safe. So if
Right.
I'm moving back to a community, if I got to live in the hood because of the way the finances were at the time, if I got to live in the hood, I got to live
back
in
to
my
my
hood.
hood.
Yeah.
But my brother had come up to West Palm and was like, yo, chill. And then after speaking to his mom, she sold me on it. And I said, all right, cool. But yeah, you know, growing up in Carroll City, my hood was, it was known for drug dealing, you know, violence,
banging, slanging.
yeah, you know, and it was always an interesting thing to observe because in Miami, there's the city of Miami and then there's Dade County.
Right.
And so much of Dade County is outside of the city limits. But, you know, I just remember growing up, we beefing with people that grew up in the projects and we have houses and stuff. But I look back on the houses and I drive through my neighborhood. It's gentrified now.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I'm like, I wouldn't, no disrespect and love to anybody, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's not what I would call the dream house.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if I showed y'all a video of the our houses are next to on each other. There's you know, it's the hood. It's the way it is. But looking back and thinking about like we beefing over blocks that we don't own, beefing over community that we have no say in.
Right.
People just making decisions for our neighborhood. We have no. It just happened. So like the neighborhood I grew up in was really dope because it was supposed to be a PT place for Marines or whatever. That they scrapped that, so they just let people buy houses in there. But it was it's all like concrete walls and everything. But it was real open, so it was like perfect manhunt.
Yeah.
And man, I go back now. They got fences up. You used to be able to make it from one side of the neighborhood to the other side quicker than a car.
Right.
Now you got to go through hoops and hurdles.
And I understand the design behind it, but I just remember watching changes in the community. No, we had no say.
Yeah.
Right. And when we'd get harassed by the police, I always talk about this because it meant so much to me. My neighbor across the street that would just come out and say, "Hey, I don't come outside if them boys ain't outside."
Right.
Right.
And when my generation was handed the keys to the neighborhood, we regulated it a certain way. So it really set me up for success because I had some OGs around me that just really instilled me with some good principles, some quality principles. And I see how we bring it into community organizing. I see how people in the hood, we have entrepreneurial skills, we have business savvy, we have networking abilities. It's just labeled differently.
Yeah.
You know, it just looks a little different.
Yeah.
And if we start meeting people where they are, we can start extracting, or not extracting, excavating some of these qualities to where they can shine because we are the blueprint.
Right.
You know, so growing up in the community that I grew up in, I hold it dear to my heart. So I look at a lot of the work that I do here. Again, how do I perfect this craft? How do I get where I'm, and then able to pour it into those communities that I grew up in? Because we're an hour and a half away.
Right.
1,000.
But you got to do the work where you can. And so, yeah, I'm proud of being from West Palm now, or like claiming West Palm and Miami both as home.
Yeah, that's real. And you hit something that resonates with LaShawn and myself as well, is that, you know, what we saw growing up in our communities is like the main driver of the work we do now. Like I say, if you've ever heard me speak, you've heard me say that real change happens when the people who need it lead it. Why? No one has more incentive to see change in our communities than we do. These aren't just residents or people in a neighborhood. These are oftentimes our best friends, our cousins, our people we consider aunts and uncles. It's people we care dearly about. And you move differently when you care about something as opposed to it being something that you're paid to do.
Right.
We do what we do in our communities because we're doing it for people that we love and cherish. We understand the historical situation that created the conditions of our community, and we're educated enough to go outside and address the system while also getting the needs from the community and making the two meet in a way where our people can feel less disenfranchised than they have historically.
Dope. And that takes me to my next question I want to ask you, David. So growing up in Carol City, Miami, rough and tough, all the surrounding areas, the Pokemon, Opalaka, all the, real tough area. Miami's been one of the leading violence and crime rate holders in Florida for a very long time, man. Even nowadays, we still see it carrying some of those stipulations behind it. And I want to ask you, do you believe the violence, the murder, do you believe the drug dealing and things that go on in our community, do you believe these are as a result of self-inflicted wounds and traumas, right? So do you believe that throughout the years, just in our community, our lack of unity, our lack of, self-awareness, our lack of empowerment, do you believe this is one of the main contributors to, the conditions that we see today? Or do you believe that this is a result of systematic agendas that are put in place for our communities to not be able to thrive?
Ooh. Damn. All right.
That's a great question.
So before anybody says anything to me, Pork and Beans is down in the city. Carol City borders up with Opalaka and all that, and it's like that, and some areas are worse than others, some areas are better. Yeah. Taking the guys around from Roca yesterday, big shout to Roca Institute, taking these guys around, showing them our community. There were places that they're like, the projects just looks real nice.
Yeah.
So, what is it? Is it us? Are we the underlying contributing factor? I think it's a hand-in-hand experience. I think, for sure, the systematic placement of poverty and violence and oppression it came first. Chicken or the egg? Systematic oppression came first. Right. By design. But then we shoot ourselves in the foot on a daily basis. And we got to start taking a critical role and look at ourselves. And those of us who are awoken or awakened or whatever to the truth, or to some semblance of truth, or seeing what we need to do, we got to wake other people up with love. But we have to wake them up because, give you an example, I listened to somebody speak about one of the things that will help our community, help Black people in America. One of the top 5 things he said is stop polluting our own community. And I was like, has he heard of what's going on in the Everglades? Right. Has he heard of Big Sugar? We ain't, right. But then we out doing a community engagement, and I see one of our sisters, she drinking her drink, walks right past the trash can and just tosses it like it's, like she threw nothing away. And then I looked around and saw how much trash was on the floor, and I was like, well, that's a real thing. Yeah. But I think that ties into we don't have ownership. If you don't have ownership, you can't have that semblance of pride. Like we have to force pride as renters or as temporary people, right? Right. But when you own something, you look back on something like, damn, I did that. Like when you do your work, right? After you build up a beautiful project or you beautify someone's space, you own, that's ownership.
It gives you the right to raise your sword and shield and say, you can't come in here. Right. You can't touch that. Right. You can't take that. You can't have that. It's mine. I own it. And that's very, very interesting that you say that. So that's with the adults, right? So, that's like in retrospect, the community, we could get out of our own way, but then we also got these systems and these different obstacles and hurdles that are put in place for it to be more difficult for us. So let's take it to the youth. What in all of that do you feel would be the key factor, one of the most key contributing factors to the youth delinquency, right?
Boycott Black murder.
Wow.
Some of these rappers can kiss my ass at this point.
Yeah.
So you think the lyrics are playing a big part in
I hate to be that dude, bro. I hate to be that old man, you feel me? But I sat with some of our mentees and we've analyzed some of the lyrics. Like I'll play them a murderous ass rap song.
Yeah, that they're already listening to.
No, but no. I mean
that with us.
No, I mean one of my generations, our generation. One of we gonna listen to stuff that I have played them stuff that I can go to memories that have provided trauma that I will deal with for the rest of my life, and can tie them to places, smells, things things, songs. I remember what we were sipping on. I remember where we was at. I will think of this model car as this thing that did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have played them songs that are murderous, but there's an artistic aspect, and I try to get them to understand it's not mine is better than yours. I don't listen to that shit either.
Right.
But some of these songs are literally just mantras.
Yeah.
Then you hear all these conspiracy theories. So let's just say free thought theories or conspiracies. But you hear about ways that people make nefarious tunes and do nefarious things with their music.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy that is driving rap music, I hate to be that guy.
Yeah.
But when I stop and I think about what's going on for the kids, they're mantras, they're vibrations, the sounds that are building.
Wow.
Sound is so...
The reverse C notes and everything. It's an art. It's a science, bro.
So, one of the things, and I didn't touch on this much, but like I said, being in health and wellness, being in massage therapy, being in a vegan community, watching people heal themselves with raw vegan plants and vegetables and things of that nature, I learned a lot, and I practice my yoga and blah, 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 blah. And sound is massive, bro.
Yeah.
Vibrational waves.
Yeah.
And so the sound that is created through some of these songs and the seeds that get planted, and it's crazy because I feel guilty when I'm vibing to it myself.
Right.
But at least I believe, not that we're better, but I believe that, all right, let me take myself out of that and I play something that's positive as well. Bro, I think it was you, me, and Norm was on the block.
Yeah.
These kids didn't know who Bob Marley was.
Right.
Some of them didn't know what reggae was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I said, can you name me your favorite? Just give me some music that isn't violent.
Yeah.
Just anything, just something different, right?
Yeah.
Like listen to
The
what you
whole
listen
challenge.
to. Give yourself a break, and so you're planting these seeds, and so they're emulating this lifestyle. It was already bad enough that we look at the guys on the block, right?
Yeah.
But the images now that they're drenched in social media and in music, it's at a different level. I mean, we got this. Like, think about no matter how much we wanted to be like Jay-Z and whoever, P. Diddy, all these Master P. No one has ever said to somebody in our generation, bro, if you can't afford a $200,000 Lamborghini, you're not a man.
Right.
If you can't drop a plain Jane, you ain't doing nothing.
That's what we getting now, man.
Yep. And then it's like a Trojan horse, right? It comes in the package of music and beats that we all can vibe to and let our guards down. But it's the messaging, right? And you consider the context in which inner city youth are growing up in, where the fathers are not in the home. You live in single parent home in an impoverished community where you're not really getting the supports or information you need to lead a productive or successful life. When you don't have that father figure speaking into your life, that music is the next best thing where you're gonna be getting your messaging from. We all know that in the hood, the number one way to keep from being picked on, bullied, is to earn respect. Respect is social capital. It's like money. It's worth its weight in gold. So the music is teaching you things and ways that you can be based on whoever your favorite rapper or however he carries himself. You start mimicking yourself after that to kind of build this image of yourself that'll protect you. So you want to be protected. You want to be safe in a community that isn't that safe. And we often find models that if we do follow in that footsteps, they're going to be detrimental to our development. Like for me, my friends used to call me Ricky Cent. And it's funny now, but it was Ricky Cent because I looked up to 50 Cent. I wanted to be like 50 Cent. Like it was to the point where I wanted to get shot and survive because he got shot and survived. Yep. And I saw the respect he got for being able to come back from that, laugh at his enemies and get revenge. That's where my mind was. And I can look back now and laugh at it, but at the time, that was driving me. Right. When I would listen to Young Jeezy, I wanted to sell dope. Matter of fact, when I did sell drugs, I had my headphones in. I was listening to Jeezy. Yeah, bro.
To get that.
Early, yeah, bro. The world is yours. There's everything in it. It's out there. Get on your grind and get it. So you out there hustling, trying to get dope money because you want to look like your favorite guy. and you're a kid with no real direction. So that's where you're getting it from. And you look at like where it all ends, right? The rappers, you can say they're like the NBA players of the street life, where only 1% of guys are gonna get to where they are. Yet you got hundreds of thousands of black young men and boys, a majority of them that are shooting after that. What happens to the guys that don't make it, where they can rap about the drugs that they sold, the murders that they did? They end up in lives that are utterly miserable.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
But nobody's warning.
So interesting, man. I got a question for both of you guys to touch on, right? So in the work we do, you know, we not only go at the community, but we individualize things, right?
Yeah.
So we go at homes, we go at parents, we go at youth, we go at
anybody
police,
can get it.
Anybody can get it. You know what I mean? So, and I just wanted to touch on what you were saying earlier about the sister just throwing something on the floor like that. Do y'all think that going forward we're gonna have to attack our community the hardest or our people directly? And I asked that because I wanted to say this. If you cross the bridge, right, just cross the bridge to the island, just 5 miles away from Tamarind, boom. When you look at the community that's over there, it's nice, but it's not just nice because of the money that's there, because of the wealth and equity. It's nice because the citizens of the city keep it nice.
Yeah. Right.
They don't just toss. You know what I'm saying? They don't, and it goes back to ownership because they own it. You ain't gonna throw that can in your own front yard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then our community, we got trash everywhere. We got graffiti on the walls. You know, we got these rundown communities, and it's like when we wake up and we step out the door in the morning, like look at the community, bro. Like how can we even be so? You know,
let me stab at this first, right? Over the pandemic, right, this whole Karen thing, we made fun of Karen, right? But Karen cared about her community enough to interject herself and find out what was going on. Right? You're not walking through Karen neighborhood and she don't know who you are.
Right.
I'm not trying to say that the Karens that we saw weren't racist, and a lot of them got the consequences that they deserved for the way they proud and the way they were. But there's a level of that we need in our communities that we got away from. Because when I was growing up, bro, like I couldn't do certain things out of fear that it would get back to my older brothers. Or get back to someone that it was a village mentality where it wasn't just your mom and dad's eyes or your mom and grandma's eyes. There were people who had a vested interest in you. That's broken down where if you say the wrong thing to a kid, their mama gonna try to fight you.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but one of Oh, okay. One of the things that I think we got to do, I'm gonna piggyback off of that into the first point. I think one of the things we got to do in relation to the youth is love them more.
Yeah.
We got the tough love thing down pat. We don't have soft love.
Right.
And so
that's a good point.
And so I think we need more of that in the community. To go back to what you're saying, like caring more. When you have knowledge of self and you redefine what it is to be black, what it is to be in the community, what it is to be a member of the family, what it is to be a part of the tribe, whatever you look at it as. When we re-examine this, we won't feel like, nah, dog, why you tripping? You know, like if I tell you, nah, dog, don't throw that there, pick that up. Oh man, you tripping, dog. You know, you want that white people stuff, or you want that uppity stuff, or you bougie now, or I care. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you don't. Again, I don't think we're gonna get anywhere by scolding people to caring. I think we gotta just show them.
Yeah.
Like when you, for example, when we go out to the community, we picking up trash with the pickers. It's real hard for you to throw something away in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm a big dude, bro. You doing that? That's like an act of war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna have to work through it. I'm not saying we're going to war, but no one's gonna look me in the face and be like, "Appreciate you cleaning up, throwing the trash."
Right.
That's what you're here for.
Right.
You know. But we have to have a conversation about what this is, because like I'll talk to people and say, "Well, that's what they got jobs for." I'm like, no, the job is a result of us doing something.
Right.
Not. Well, make sure you litter today so you keep the guys who are street sweeping employed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when we get out there, when we show people what it is to care about our community, when we have, again, this is where we have to like agitate in a good way, but we agitate these people that got money.
Yeah.
They got bread in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Hey man, drop some money. Let's get some paint.
Yeah.
Let's paint the neighborhood. Man. Let's drop some soil over here. Let's plant some flowers real quick.
Yeah.
If we can get the city to reimburse or pay for it, great. But we have enough money that, if they ain't going to do it, we do it. And it's not saying you're doing it for them. You're doing it for you.
Yeah.
Yes. The difference also lies in the fact that if we got year-long leases, then tomorrow you gone. I ain't got to worry about Mr. Johnson bitching at me. You know what? Because Mr. Johnson, they're going to be gone next week.
Right.
Everybody in the hood that owns something is a Mr. Jones. Like, get off my grass, get out my yard. They don't come out and inspire the community to be owners like them.
Right.
So that doesn't, all the youth, all the kids that run by, growing up, ain't nobody like the Mr. Jones. Like, we throw, you know what I'm saying? We try to tear his house down that he owned because he's such a little scrub about it.
Yeah.
But if he could approach that in a different way and be like, come here, little fella, let me show you something. Like, you see this yard right here?
Like the father and Boys in the Hood.
You want to get one of these and get out that little multi-family, multi-dweller unit? Let me tell you something. Give them some game instead, get out my yard.
Yeah.
Pay them $25 to cut the lawn.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the issue, I just experienced this for the first time in the last, I got emotional of it with the meeting yesterday. Mm-hmm. I have a mentee that I spent a lot of time, personal money, personal energy, personal love. Like I've invested in this youth. Two of my most high risk, and both of them have shit on me essentially.
Yeah.
They shit on themselves, and by way of doing that, they shit on me.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it personal. I feel it personally. I'm working through it, you know what I'm saying? But it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I understand why people don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Because after enough helping, it's like, all right, man, well, you know what?
It's like it's falling on deaf ears. Yeah.
Love him or hate him, but one of my good friends and people that I've worked with is a very wealthy community member. You know him. He runs the charities and stuff. And I asked him, I said, why you try? Yeah. Because they put such barriers and loops and holes just to make him do good things in the community. I'm like, damn, this is why rich people don't do good shit. They just cut a check and said, I don't want to think about it anymore. Because the work is so hard. So I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Yeah. But I feel like this is why groups like ours are so important. I try to make the young men know that this is an early start of a fraternity for them. This is a gang. This is a team. This is your family. This is a tribe. Lean on each other, network with each other, uplift each other. But on the adult side of things, it's the same thing. Yeah. I'm trying to bring in somebody now to be a volunteer mentor. Maybe he can't commit like how we all do, but we need each other to not only lean on each other, but then to teach people how to deal with it. Because a dude in the community is going to do one or two good things and then be like, these damn kids, I don't understand. He ain't listening. And I did something for you. You go get yourself arrested again. Like, I agree with you. We have to be gracious with our children because that's the only way we're going to get them. But we need support systems for the adults that don't know how. Right. It's like, why am I going to be shit on every day?
And let me ask both of y'all this question, kind of like, because there are people out there and they have a certain viewpoint on young men growing up now. Mm-hmm. They hear the music that they listen to. They're seeing what's happening on social media. Like, what advice or what information can you provide to people outside or maybe in close proximity to the community, or even those far away that are curious? What could you say that would help them understand the young men that we work to reduce the chances of them perpetrating and being victimized by gun violence and improving outcomes for this demographic? What is there you could say to them to help them understand this group that's so oftentimes misunderstood?
I would say, number one, we gotta remove the expectation from them, right? So, and that's the biggest thing I took away from our retreat, like the expectation. We put expectation on individuals who don't know how to properly inform or, decide on anything, and it's a recipe for disaster, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to make the misinformed, wrong decision anyway because they think they know it all. Right. So I would say, just number one, just remove the expectation, and then let's attack it with the heart and the mind, and let's be open with this person and let them give to us, and then we don't have to give to them. When they give to us, they just take back. You know what I'm saying? We let them take instead of always trying to give. That's number one. So number two, I would say just let the framework settle in. From experience, being only 24 years old, I was just incarcerated when I was 18, so I was an adult at that time.
Right.
You know, according to the law, and mentally, no way. But according to the law, I was an adult. And when I met you, you had a framework that you were installing at that time.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm gonna be real with you, I had some, you know, some bumps, hiccups down the road where you thought I never became exposed to the framework.
Right.
But it's the fact that you laid it down and then you moved on.
Right.
And then now you can not even look back, look into right now and see that patience that you had with the community, with the youth, with the environment, just to lay your framework and let it run its course.
Yeah.
Not give, but lay it and let me take what I need
Plant
from it.
the seed.
And that's exactly what happened, bro. So I would say the patience and the willpower and the knowledge to know they'll get it.
Yeah.
So like you just said with them two youth, like all your hard work, this is exactly what it's about.
Right.
For them to run into the same brick wall that you've been trying to keep them from, so that way the framework stick.
Yeah.
Right.
And let me say that again for my people in the back. Judgment. You gotta let that judgment go. Oftentimes y'all see a kid, his parents are sad for, oh, you ain't nothing. You deflate the energy needed to make a difference in that kid's life immediately when you do that. It's gonna take some processing, but remove the judgment. And secondly, plant the seed. You're not gonna save a life that one time. You're either gonna plant a new seed or you're gonna water a seed that somebody else laid down. But that's what it's gonna take.
We
to
love
reach
apples
the kid.
and they take 7 years to grow.
Yep.
So, you know, it takes time, bro.
It takes
You know,
time.
one of the ideas that we were taught is that everybody's going to relapse, and it's not like a drug relapse; it's a relapse, like the behavior relapse. And every time you change, like one of our brothers didn't have a gun this time, the judge recognized it. Oh, you making changes,
Right.
slowly but surely. So if you're conscious to the real work, then you know that we got to have relapses.
Right.
My biggest thing for the people on the outside. One of the only I had a handful of teachers that made impacts on me. One of them said, "You either leave a mark or a stain." And so every opportunity you have an opportunity to leave a mark or a stain. I'm just thinking someone completely far removed from this space. Come meet someone. Do you have any friends that are in this space? Do you have any friends with this story? If not, then reach out to volunteer, reach out to talk, or even say, like, so if someone called us, for example, said, I want to meet some of your guys, I just want to expose myself to this. Well, we're not going to expose our guys to your ignorance.
Right.
But we'll sit down and have a conversation with you.
Right.
We'll sit down and tell you what's up,
Right.
how you can support us, and when we do have a public space where you might be able to come in and interact with the guys.
Facts.
Because their trauma and your trauma could buck up against each other.
Yeah.
Because you think that somebody's supposed to receive you with a certain way. These guys don't operate like that all the time.
Right.
I was with the guys yesterday. We had a little group, and one of the dudes spoke Spanish to one of the women, and he wasn't doing it making fun. He was doing it because he's been learning. He's trying to like have conversations. It came across very playful.
Yeah.
I was observing like, how's this gonna go? Is she gonna be offended? She responded back and was like, "Oh, okay, hey," and, you know, like, and it was a good experience.
Yeah.
They have to have these opportunities to experience new things.
Embrace with love. That's the difference.
Right. So if I come to you and I expect to do this and you don't do that,
Right.
I can't feel no type of way.
Right.
And so we have to work with people that understand that nuance and understand what's at stake when you interact with them. You have an opportunity to be the first white person or the first affluent person or the first person of your culture that they may meet, they may interact with. So you leave a marker or stain. So I biggest takeaway, that was a long-winded way of saying, biggest takeaway, come meet the guys, so to speak. Come meet the community that you're afraid of. Come meet the community that you're ignorant of. Come meet the people that you think are the boogeymen. And I that advice is for everyone. If you're ever against any space, go meet some people
Put
from that
yourself
community.
in that space.
Right.
Understand
See what it is. But with our guys specifically, another message that I would have is no one wants to live this way. Nobody is actually happy with their life on the line.
Right.
No one is actually happy playing the cat and mouse game of having your life, your freedom on the line. We get addicted to the adrenaline rush of it. We get addicted to the lifestyle that comes with it because we have to make the best of the worst situation. The same way you can meet people in the poorest countries and they smile all day and they're the happiest, but they live in war-torn conditions. Yeah. No one wants this. So it's not as easy as just if you didn't like it, you just change or you just move or you just, all these type of things. If you could just, so understand that you're dealing with some type of trauma. We don't need kid gloves. We just need an open heart. but come and meet some of those people. That's the biggest thing I would say is come and meet the people that you're unfamiliar with.
I was in the newspaper about a year and a half ago in regards to race, and as a leader in Palm Beach County, and there was this older white gentleman. His name's Bill, and he's a golf pro at one of our golf courses. And he read this article in the newspaper, and in the newspaper I said, if people want to have this conversation, I'm here, because the only way we're going to get past these issues is through conversation, understanding, empathy.
Right.
So he reached out, set up a meeting, and I remember when he came in, you know, we shook hands, we sat down, and he was just blunt, and I appreciated him for it. He said, I'm old enough to not care about this. I'm retiring. I've made my money. Mm-hmm. I can sail off into the sunset. But reading your story and seeing the opportunity, I felt like I should follow up and have this conversation, because I've spent my entire life kind of ignoring it. And we sat down for about an hour and a half and just chopped it up. I gave my perspective. I listened to his. And at the end of that meeting, he said to me, I want to continue this conversation, and I want to contribute to your cause. He wrote a check for, I think, $1,000. And he said, the best gift that I feel like I can give you is the game of golf. And he took me on and he started training me. He's the reason I play golf. And he trains me every month. And our relationship has continued to grow and blossom because he didn't choose to ignore it, pretend it didn't exist. He saw the news. He saw what was happening. Right. He chose, and he could have went into his echo chamber and been confirmed in his ignorance.
Right.
But he chose not to.
And that brings up a good point about cancel culture.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of cancel culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to call people into the conversation, not call them out.
Right.
Because I've asked some stupid questions, but I've come out smarter.
Yeah.
And then with cancel culture, when we do away with that nonsense, we leave room for people to be able to come in and say, "Yo, I don't know about this. Can I educate me?" Because I think it's a two-way street.
Right.
You have to be willing to empathetically come to me, but I have to be willing to be like, all right, I may be dealing with a grown person, but they have an ignorant, childlike knowledge about this.
Right.
They may say something that I don't like. They may approach it in a certain way. Right. But I'm going to show it with a little bit of love. And so it's a two-way street.
Yeah, and the problem with cancel culture is that it penalizes ignorance, right? I don't believe that ignorance should be penalized unless it's willful ignorance. Right. If you ask me a science question or you ask me a question about the pronouns and things like that, I may be ignorant on that. Right. Not willful, I just haven't spent much time educating myself on it. And if you can cancel me based on an ignorance, because I used to think, like, my grandmother did not trust white people when I was a kid at all. Right. And she raised me not to trust white people. Right. So it didn't take me long when I grew up to realize that if my grandmother was raising me this way, who's to say there's not a white kid in the backwoods of North Carolina being raised the same way?
100%.
Right.
You know?
100%.
So it taught me to empathize and to take myself and put myself in other people's shoes. And once people can be ignorant or acknowledge where they fall short without feeling judged or condemned, then we can move the conversation forward.
And before we close, I just want to add to that, Ricky, that's huge. We got to give people their acknowledgement for stepping up. Yeah. If I ever ask someone a question and they answer the question, whether you knew the answer, whether you didn't know the answer, I pay respect for stepping up, right?
Right.
So I don't penalize people for being wrong. I don't penalize people for anything. I try to highlight how, when, where, and why you was wrong, so we can correct that engagement next time, and you can have the right approach, the right answer, and be prepared. But real quick, David, before we finish off, for our audience, I got one last question for you.
What's that?
What does it mean to you to be a hope dealer, bro?
Internally, it means facing my own traumas to help others face their own traumas. Like reliving my shit and helping young brothers heal through it. As a community, outwardly, what it means to be a hope dealer, it means to be someone who's unapologetic and relentless in the engagement of our youth and saving their life. We are boycotting black murder. We are stopping the violence in our community the best we can by putting and infusing more hope, love, and light. We be in the trenches.
Yeah.
We be in the trenches.
Dope.
But we're not there to judge anybody. We're not there to... I love it when someone can come up to one of us and say, I got this little dude I need your help with.
Yeah.
You know, being that beacon. That's outwardly what it means to be a hope dealer. But internally, I know that I got to be the best version of myself. And I'm hoping in 2023 I can reach some more of those goals by being around brothers like y'all, you know. So
And you got that, bro. 1,000. Much respect to you for laying that out on the table, man.
Appreciate
And potentially being impactful and inspiring to someone in the audience that may be watching this episode and may be trying to find some light. Hopefully your story, what you went through, may resonate with them harder than mine, harder than Ricky's, because I don't know what it is about why people listen to who they listen to, but for some reason they'll listen to you. Some reason they'll listen to me. Some reason they'll listen to Ricky. So, you know, I'm hoping that your intent and your message today is going to stick with somebody. And with that being said, man, I'll let Ricky zip it up, bro. What you got for us going out, brother?
I would ask Dave, how do people reach you, assuming you want to be reached?
Instagram seems to be one of the best ways they can hit me up. At Catch D's Hands. That's catch period DEES period hands. Massage therapist and bouncer thing.
I've been wondering what this subliminal undertone was for a minute. Thank you for letting me know that.
I'm D. I'm David, but everybody that knows me really calls me D. And so you can catch D's hands in the therapeutic way, or you know we can
Hey,
tussle.
that's a brand, brother. That's a brand, bro.
But all my contact information is in the link in my bio. My link page has all of my contact information, and anybody that has any questions, I've been told that I'm a very safe person you can ask questions for, because I've worn many hats. So anybody has any questions, wants to open up the dialogue, feel free to reach out. I'm always here for it.
Awesome. And with that, man, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned into this. I'm hoping it was as refreshing a conversation for you as it was for us. Don't forget, you can sponsor these podcast episodes. $125 for one episode, $400 for the entire month. And we want to continue this conversation, but we can't do it without your support. And anyone looking for bigger sponsorship options and opportunities, LaShawn and myself will be paddleboarding from the Bahamas back to Florida with the Crossing for the Cure for cystic fibrosis.
Yes.
So you'll be hearing a lot more about that. And we just want to thank y'all. So without further ado.
And real quick, thank both of y'all for having me here. I hope we can come back and continue this conversation.
Oh, there's definitely going to be a part two.
So
definitely.
So thank y'all for this. and same thing he said, thank you for everybody to tune in. This was a great experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, y'all.
We out.